The film begins with a person called Frank, a former Special Forces soldier, now a driver, who specializes in transporting high-stakes goods. For Frank, precision and dedication are paramount, and he strictly adheres to 3 essential rules. First, deal is a deal once it's set. Second, no name. He doesn't want you to know his name, and he doesn't want to know your own name either. Lastly, he never opens the packages he delivers, no matter the circumstances. As the story unfolds, Frank is seen at the front of a bank. The 4 armed robberies who went to rob the bank enters his car. Once they do, he activates a button that changes the car's license plate. The gang leader urges Frank to drive quickly to evade the police, but Frank stands firm, insisting that their arrangement was for 3 people, not 4. He explains that he cannot change his rules. Threatened with violence, Frank remains unyielding, stating that the car operates only with a password, rendering their threats useless. The gang leader, desperate, resorts to killing one of his own and push him out of the car. Finally, Frank drives off, but just as the police close in, he showcases his exceptional driving skills. Despite the intense pursuit, even when it seems like there's no hope for the robberies, Frank manages to evade capture and successfully delivers the gang members to their destination. The gang leader hands Frank the previously agreed money, along with a generous tip. He instructs Frank to deliver it to a designated location. However, Frank surprises him by returning the extra cash, stating that he doesn't alter the terms of their arrangement. The gang members then swiftly hop into another taxi to make their getaway. Frank, meanwhile, returns the license plate of the previous vehicle and went to home. Once home, he meticulously cleans his car, only to be startled by a news report revealing that 3 individuals have been apprehended for a bank heist. To his shock, they are the very same people he had just delivered to. The reason for their capture? The taxi driver's lack of professionalism led to a traffic accident, prompting the police to swoop in. As Frank watches the unfolding drama on the screen, a knock echoes through his home. He opens the door to find his neighbor Tarkon, a police officer, who seems to harbor suspicions about Frank due to his quiet demeanor and perpetually spotless car. Tarkon informs him that a vehicle resembling Frank's was involved with the gang that robbed the bank, and the police have noted its license plate. He requests to see Frank's plate numbers. With confidence, Frank leads Tarkon to his car. After inspecting the license plate, Tarkon realizes it's not the one they're after and apologizes for the misunderstanding. He mentions he'll drop by later for coffee. Just then, Frank receives a call from someone requesting a delivery. He heads out to meet this person, who hands him a package destined for a specific address. Frank agrees to the task and outlines 3 crucial rules for the delivery. The next day, he arrives to collect the package, which is placed in his car by the man he had spoken with. Frank remains unaware of the contents hidden within. Frank made his way to the designated address, but midway through his journey, he found himself needing to change a tire. As he attempted to remove the other tire from the vehicle, he was taken aback to discover that a package in his car contained someone inside. Despite his surprise, Frank adhered to a strict work policy: never open any package he was transporting. After successfully changing the tire, he decided to stop at a nearby store for a bite to eat, his mind lingering on the mysterious occupant of the package. After purchasing a juice, Frank returned to his car, and curiosity got the better of him. He chose to break his own rule and open the package, revealing a girl named Lai inside. However, he didn't untie her. Instead, he offered her a drink before placing her back in the package, securing the trunk and continuing on his route. As he drove, Frank noticed Lai shifting around in the back. Concerned, he pulled over to the side of the road and approached her, asking her to remain calm so they could talk. She expressed a need to use the bathroom, and in a moment of misguided judgment, he tied a rope around her neck, allowing her to go into the nearby forest to relieve herself. Minutes passed, and when Frank called out to her, there was no response. Growing anxious, he ventured into the woods to find her, only to be shocked to see that Lai had tied the rope to a tree and made her escape. Frustrated, he searched for her and eventually located her, bringing her back to the car, his anger boiling. To his astonishment, he was met by two police officers standing in front of his vehicle. As the two officers caught sight of Frank carrying a girl who bore the marks of a kidnapping, they sprang into action, launching an assault on him. However, Frank proved to be more than a match for them, swiftly incapacitating both men. With the threat behind him, he proceeded to the designated location to deliver a package. Upon arrival, he encountered the recipient, who inquired about the contents of the package. Frank, maintaining his stance of never opening packages, dismissed the question, claiming indifference to what lay inside. Yet, the recipient remained wary and proposed that Frank undertake another delivery. Frank consented, meticulously agreeing to every detail, before accepting the package and the payment, and drove off. On his way, he decided to stop and take a break at a nearby restaurant for lunch. Just as he was about to get into his car, it erupted in a fiery explosion. Realizing that the recipient had set him up with a bomb, Frank's fury ignited. He stormed back to confront the recipient's men, dispatching them with ruthless efficiency in his quest for the mastermind behind the attack. However, the elusive leader remained hidden. Meanwhile, Lai attempted to seize the moment to escape amidst the chaos. But Frank, having dealt with the henchman, steals a vehicle from the garage and speed away. To his astonishment, he discovered Lai already inside the car. He abruptly halted, yelled at her and left her by the roadside, seething with anger. Yet, after a moment of reflection, his heart softened, and he turned back to retrieve her. Frank brought her home, shared a meal, and then retreated to his room for some much-needed rest. Meanwhile, the gang leader, known as Street, was making his way to the hospital to interrogate one of his injured men about the attack. The man revealed that Frank had survived the bomb and had returned to exact revenge the very next day. The following morning, Frank wakes up to find Lai in the kitchen, preparing breakfast, and he was surprised by her behavior. The unexpected twist comes with the visit of Frank's neighbor, Tarkon, who drops by for a chat. Upon entering, Tarkon spots Lai at Frank's home and inquires about her. Frank explains that Lai is the new cook he hired, as he often finds himself alone and in need of someone to prepare meals. Tarkon then notices that Frank's car is missing from the driveway and asks about it. Frank reveals that his car was stolen just the day before, and he plans to report it to the police. Tarkon, however, has a shocking revelation. He witnessed Frank's car explode outside a restaurant the previous day, right in front of two police officers. Frank claimed he had no idea of this incident. Tarkon, sensing Frank's honesty, suggests they head to the police station together with Lai, as he intends to file a report on the car theft and ask a few questions. Frank agrees, but once Tarkon leaves, he confides in Lai, feeling that something is amiss. Suddenly, chaos erupts as a missile strikes Frank's house, followed by a barrage of gunfire from Street and his men. In a panic, Frank rushes Lai to the basement for safety. They navigate through the sewers, managing to escape without being seen. Once they are out, they make their way to the police station to meet Tarkon, who has been informed about the explosion at Frank's residence. Tarkon begins to interrogate Lai and Frank about the events. Frank explains that they were out when they returned to find their home in flames. When Tarkon presses him about the shooting, Frank insists he was unaware of any such incident. Just then, Tarkon receives a call from his superior, prompting him to step away for a moment, leaving Frank and Lai in the office. Seizing the opportunity, Lai sits at Tarkon's desk and starts digging for information on the person who has been stalking them. To her surprise, she uncovers the name of their pursuer, Street. When Tarkoni stepped back into the office, he was oblivious to the subtle changes around him and let everyone leave without a second thought. However, as soon as he powered up his computer, a sinking feeling washed over him. He realized it had been accessed, and they were searching for someone named Street. Lai implored Frank to accompany her in the quest to find Street, but he hesitated. She revealed a chilling truth. A ship was set to transport 400 kidnapped individuals, destined to become slaves, and among them were her father and brothers. Desperate, she pleaded for his help, explaining that Street was the only one who could lead them to the ship. Moved by her plight, Frank resolved to assist Lai in rescuing her family and the others. When Frank and Lai burst into Street's office, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. Frank leveled his gun at Street while Lai frantically searched through files related to the ship. Street, unfazed, informed Lai that her father would soon arrive and would punish her for her actions. Frank's heart sank. Lai had previously claimed her father was among the captives. Street accused Lai of deceiving Frank, and in a tense moment, she turned the gun on him. Just then, Kauai entered the scene, Lai's father and Street's partner in the human trafficking operation. He attempted to soothe his daughter, urging her to lower the weapon. But when she finally dropped the gun, Kauai commanded his men to eliminate Frank. Street intervened, having learned that Officer Tarconi was on his way to investigate the situation and uncover the ties between Frank, Lai, and himself. In the chaos, one of Street's henchmen struck Frank, rendering him unconscious. When Tarconi arrived, Street seized the opportunity to accuse Frank of kidnapping Lai, claiming he had come to extort money for her release. Tarconi found Frank unconscious but sensed something was amiss. Once Frank regained consciousness, he quickly filled Tarconi in on the ship and the fate of those aboard. He urged the officer to release him so he could save the captives before they were lost forever, warning that if he remained in custody, the chance to act would slip away. He will swiftly rescue the kidnapped individuals, unlike the policeman who will take his time. Tarconi is confident and agrees, knowing that Tarcone must feign being a hostage, pretending that Frank is the one who has taken him, in order to escape the police station. Once Frank is free, he hops into a small boat and heads to the ship's location. Upon arrival, he eliminates Kwai and his men. When Quiet Street learns that Frank is on the ship, they decide to alter their strategy, transferring the containers holding the captives from the ship to large trucks. 2 trucks, filled with these containers, are flanked by protective vehicles. Frank skillfully takes out everyone in the vicinity, then jumps into a car to pursue the 2 trucks. However, his vehicle breaks down, and he spots a farmer's plane in the distance. Frank intimidates the farmer into flying him to the trucks. As he reaches the scene, Frank leaps from the plane with a parachute, landing on one of the trucks. He throws the parachute at a protective vehicle, causing a collision that results in several deaths. Seizing the moment, Frank commandeers a truck by forcefully ejecting its driver, only to be met with a shocking surprise. Street is inside with him. A fierce struggle ensues, but Frank ultimately prevails, killing Street. When he pulls over, he is taken aback to find Kwai aiming a gun at him. Frank surrenders and is compelled to accompany Kwai to an undisclosed location. Upon arrival, Kwai attempts to kill Frank, but suddenly, he is shot. As he turns to see who the assailant is, he discovers it's his own daughter who has pulled the trigger. Overwhelmed with emotion, she breaks down, and Frank comforts her. Meanwhile, Tarcone and the police arrive to rescue the kidnapped victims. In the end, Frank successfully completes his mission, saving 400 lives, and the movie ends. For more interesting stories, please like and subscribe. Your support motivates us to keep going.